Welcome to Mastering the Numbers, your go-to podcast for a deep dive into the world of business and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Join me as I sit down with successful business owners to uncover their journeys, learnings, successes, and future plans. From market trends to personal stories of triumph, Mastering the Numbers delivers invaluable insights to fuel your own entrepreneurial spirit. So grab a seat and get ready to be inspired. Welcome to Mastering the Numbers, your go-to podcast for a deep dive into the world of business and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Joe Mallo. Join me as I sit down with successful business owners to uncover their journeys, learnings, successes, and future plans. From market trends to personal stories of triumph, Mastering the Numbers delivers invaluable insights to fuel your own entrepreneurial spirit. So grab a seat and get ready to be inspired.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Joe Mallo with Elite Edge Consulting Group, and this is the Mastering the Numbers podcast. And our guest today is Shannon Kerns. She is the owner of Wild and Free. Thank you very much for taking part in this interview series and being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For the audience, tell us a little bit about Wild and Free. Help us understand your company.
Sure. So Wild and Free OT is a company that I started just last summer, so it's pretty new. I'm gonna be having the 1 year anniversary this year. I started it to get kids out in nature and get just kids outside and immersed in nature to get all the benefits of that. I'm an occupational therapist by background. So when I started looking into it, I just saw the benefits of it. There's cognitive benefits, physical, social, emotional, sensory. So it just really appealed to me to get kids out there. And then the other thing I like is that I make my groups inclusive. So they're with kids with and without disabilities. So anyone can join. And if somebody does need the group adapted, then with my background knowledge, I'm able to do that for them. So they're able to be the part of the group just like any other kid. I even have something set up in the summertime. I have a sensory tent. So if anybody does get overwhelmed, they can go to that. I have the group set up so that they're small. There's only 6 kids per group. And then the parents do attend with them. So they're not a very big group, which helps promote the social skills. So the kids see the same, kids day after day or week after week. They come once a week. So that's also nice. And then usually the parents that are signing the kids up are like-minded individuals. So a lot of times the parents even form connections, which has been an added bonus. But yeah, that's on the basic background of what I do and what it is.
That's great. I had a chance to read a little bit about your company before we jumped on here today, and so I was really excited to talk to you because as a parent of a teenager, one of the biggest challenges we've had, at least recently over the years, is getting them to want to get out of the house and get off the Xbox. And we've been very adamant over the years that when the weather's nice, you have to be outside, you have to be with your friends, you have to be out doing things and socializing. And we feel that's helped as well. But I know it's a struggle for a lot of parents.
It is. Yeah, I think it's a big challenge. And that's another reason. Like there's lots of reasons why I started it, but that's another reason is just the increased screen time that all our kids are getting, like in the schools and then at home. And it is hard to get them off of it because it's just so easy to have them, sit on there and they're quiet and occupied. But there's just so many other things that they need to be working on and developing with their brain and their body. And it's good to go outside. It's good for their mental health. So something like this is nice because it's intentional time outside. So you sign up for it, you go there, it's outside in the park. There's nothing else to do except this group. So you're off your screens and you get all the benefits of, being outside in nature.
I think that's fantastic and definitely needed. Like I said, as a parent of a teenager, we like to force them outside. So what was the biggest inspiration, or what helped you decide to start this organization?
There's a few different things. So initially, I actually wanted to do telehealth, which is like polar opposite, right? This is like on a screen, but it was prior to the pandemic, and I just saw how beneficial telehealth could be because like you can reach these kids out in Alaska that otherwise couldn't get, occupational therapy, and how cool would it be if I could provide that service for them? So I started looking into that, and then I started educating myself on opening a business and all that, fun stuff. Then the pandemic hit, and all of a sudden it was like the appeal was kind of taken out of it because the market got really saturated. Everybody was doing it. And it just was a big mess, and it just wasn't fun anymore because everybody had to be on the screens. It was like you had to be. It wasn't like this thing that was like an additional thing that you could be providing services. So it just didn't seem like what I wanted to do anymore. And at the same time, I have a 3-year-old who is developmentally delayed. She has gross motor delays. And then I had a newborn in June of 2020. So I'm at home with a newborn and 3-year-old. I'm like, okay, we could go nowhere because it was during lockdown, but we could go outside because that was a safe place to be. So we were outside a lot and a lot in nature too, because at some point, I don't know if you remember, but like the playgrounds were even closed. You couldn't
Right,
even
I
go
remember.
but you could go to the park. So we went to the park a lot. We went outside in nature, and I just started noticing like how beneficial this was to my own kids and to me. I mean, it's really nice just to get outside, to enjoy nature, to teach them about all the different things. So as an occupational therapist, it was kind of sparked, intrigue in me. So I started to research it, and I found that there is a lot of research behind nature-based therapy. So there's a lot in psychology. They've started looking into it, but then some occupational therapy has been doing it too. And they just started listing all the benefits of what you get just from being outside and how it's just a lot more motivating for a lot of kids to be outside. It's more fun. So rather than indoors where you have to create this activity, outdoors already just has it naturally. So for my own daughter, she was working on physical therapy at the time. And inside, she did not want to do, like, if I try to get her to pick up toys, even if I try to make it a fun game, she did not want to work on like squatting, bending, reaching kind of stuff. But then we went outside, she would pick a flower, she would pick up sticks. And I'm like, well, this is actually the same skill. And she's working on an uneven surface. So it's actually better for her to be doing this. So I noticed that too. And it just made me think that this is something that our kids really need. And then I just started thinking from my school-based therapy background about how much the kids are on screens. And I'm like, we need to get the kids outside. What are we doing? So I decided to create this so that I could get as many kids outside as possible. And then I also am passionate about working with kids with disabilities. I wanted to make it inclusive for them. I wanted them to be able to come to the group. And like I said, a kid be a kid, just come outside and play. So that was another reason I did it. And then I'm very passionate also about overall improving positive mental health in everyone. And I think it's good for everybody to be outside. The mental health benefits are huge. So that was another reason I just felt like I really needed to do this.
Yeah, I think those are great reasons. The other thing that I found was just being able to jump on bikes with my son and go play lacrosse in the park for a couple hours. It just, it built our relationship as well. So
Mm-hmm.
it was very soothing for me to be able to do
Yeah.
that with my
Yes.
son. So what have been some of the, I guess, except for the pandemic, of course, that's been a challenge in a lot of areas for a lot of people. But what have been
Mm-hmm.
some of the biggest challenges and biggest struggles you've had to overcome since starting the business?
Well, there's financial challenges because starting your own business, you're starting really from nothing. You're starting from scratch. And I didn't have a lot of money to pull from. We're paying off our student loans from college and a house, and we have kids. So I'm like, how am I going to do this? So I really started with very little money. But the place I found was kind of nice. And I found land because they're just take a percentage out of what I make. So I really started it without having a whole lot of money. So that was the first really big challenge, figuring that all out. And then another challenge was just finding land. So like you would think that a lot of parks would be like, oh, this is a cool program. We want to do this to help, people. But they didn't. They don't want a for-profit at the metro parks or anything like that on their land. You have to be a nonprofit, and the business model I'm doing can't be that right now. So I needed to find somewhere that was open to doing a for-profit business. So finally, I did find somewhere, but I did get a lot of no's before, I found somewhere that said yes. So that was a big challenge too, and just not getting, too frustrated or give up because I was getting told no a lot. I had to just keep going. And then also just like the learning curve of like, I don't know anybody that runs their own business. So I have to learn everything myself, educating myself. I didn't know how to create a website. That was a big learning curve for me. I didn't know how to create a logo. I didn't know how to, make my own flyers or do any of this, but I learned how to do all of it. So just like getting past that, like, oh, I've never done this, so I can't do it. That's not true. There's a lot of resources out there, to help you overcome whatever you might be afraid of doing.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think that's a sign of a good business owner. They just put their head down and they keep pushing forward, right? You can, take as many no's as you have to get to the first yes. So,
Yeah.
is there anything at this point, almost a year in running the business, anything you would have done differently?
Um, Probably not. I mean, I think that anything that I've done so far has just helped me learn further in. I mean, at some point, I might want to do one-on-one occupational therapy services, which I don't currently do right now. It's just for anybody. So maybe I would have started with that. I don't know. I like how it's going right now. So I don't think so. I like to learn from my mistakes.
Right. Well, we have to. I think
Yeah.
that's sometimes the best way, or
Mhm.
or also talk to people that have made mistakes in the past as well. Learn from
Yeah.
them. So, what are some common misconceptions that you hear about running a business?
I think, one would be that you do have to have a lot of money or you have to take out a business loan and you don't. I mean, depending on like your business structure and your plan, you don't have to necessarily do that. You just have to start really small and realistically. So I think that's one big misconception out there. And also that you need a lot of people to run a business. You don't. I'm like right now, it would be nice to have more people in the future, but right now I'm running it by myself. So you can figure all this stuff out on your own, if you're motivated enough. So that's another one I think, you know, that maybe people are afraid of, or that is a misconception out there.
Yeah. So you're running it completely on your own at this point, and what's the optimal size for your organization? How many
I guess
people?
I guess it depends how it grows. I'd like to at least add maybe another therapist in the future, like maybe a speech therapist or physical therapist to supplement my knowledge. So at least, so another mind to help me run it. Initially, if it gets big enough, I'd probably need at least a few more people to help run some of the groups. So it just depends on how big it grows over time.
Okay. Okay. But growth is definitely where you're going.
I hope so. I already am running a new program this year. Last year, I just did the 3 to 6 year old group during the summer. And then during the school year, I did a once a month group. And then I expanded actually to ages 2 to 10. And then I made it a little bit shorter just because the winter months, you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
January, we were outside in 6-degree weather. So I was glad that it was a little bit shorter. But we also got to freeze bubbles, which was really cool. So,
Yeah,
just being out in all weather and learning about all the different things was really neat.
that's great. So you have this business you've been running. You also work in the school district as an
Hmm.
occupational therapist. So that kind of leads my next question, and something that I've struggled, and I bring this up on all my interview sessions. I've always struggled with work-life balance. And it's different. It means something different to everybody.
Hmm.
But how do you maintain your work-life balance, or is that something that you struggle with as well?
I mean, there's times where I struggle with it. I think the biggest thing for me is flexibility. So I've only picked up jobs that are flexible. So my school based job is 3 days a week, and I have flexibility within my day. And then also, like last week, my daughter was, throwing up everywhere, and I had to take the day off. And I was able to do that because of how I have my schedule set up. And then I also work as a part time professor for the Cleveland State Occupational Therapy Program 2 days a week. So that's another thing. But that's also pretty flexible. Like if I have to, there was a different week my daughter was sick actually, and I could just do that on, online. Like I could do a
Yeah,
virtual session that day. So
right,
it's just, and then my own business is my own business. So that's flexible
right.
too. So I could do a lot of stuff from home. So just having the flexibility is key because I have been able to go to my kids' parties at school and volunteer and, do all that kind of stuff because I have a flexible day.
Yeah, but that's great. So you have three different things going on, not just two.
Yeah.
And do you have a support team, whether it's at work, whether it's at home, that kind of keeps you on track?
Yeah, I mean, I would say like all my coworkers at my jobs have been amazing. And then my students, my doctorate students are awesome. I mean, they keep me going too. And it's also nice that like everything kind of like crosses over a little bit. So I can go do like my school based, my nature based job, and then I can come talk to my students and teach them what I'm learning right now and motivate them. So that like helps me keep me going. And then at home, my whole entire family, but especially my husband, because, if I have to go like this past weekend, I had a lot of stuff going on where I had to go to the Earth Day Festival and then I did a nature group for kids with autism and ADHD. And he stayed home with the girls. So, he's been amazing. So that's probably my biggest support is him.
Right. I think everybody has to have that support team, like I said, whether it's at home or work or both.
Hmm.
Especially if you have three different roles. out
Yeah.
there that you're working on at the same time. So how do you, with that being said, a lot going on, how do you stay motivated and how do you stay particularly focused, especially on the new business and the growth there?
Yeah, it can be hard. I try to so I try to keep the days separated. So like the days I'm at my school-based job, I'm just thinking about that, just focusing on that. And then when I'm at, a different job, I just focus on that. And sometimes, like it just doesn't always work like that, but for the most part, it's worked out pretty well. And then, when the kids go down to bed is when I do more stuff if I have to.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. I find myself sometimes sneaking back into the office at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night when everybody's asleep
Yeah.
to do a little work where they won't get mad at me for going back to
Yeah.
work. So so with once again with everything that's going on, and how the business landscape just in general is evolving, how do you stay adaptable? How do you stay open to change with everything that's going on?
Yeah, as an occupational therapist, that's kind of what I do is I adapt. Like that is like almost literally my job. I help people adapt their lives and I'm just really good at like adapting myself. So I think I like what I like to do is just watch podcasts like this is very helpful or read books or follow people on social media just to make sure like I know what's going on, what's relevant right now, if there's anything I need to change or tweak, and then just like you said, learning from other people, like finding out like what's worked for them, what didn't work for them, like is there something that I need to do. So just constantly trying to educate myself, I think, is the biggest thing.
Yeah. So if someone's out there and they're struggling to adapt, they're struggling to be open to change, that's affecting, whether it's home life or their work life or their business, is an occupational therapist someone that they should potentially seek out?
They can. Occupational therapists can help in a lot of different types of ways. So that is one thing they can help with. They help with like work and for like, if it's someone that's, an adult, it might help with somebody who has anxiety, ADHD, or autism if they're just like really stuck, just to help them be organized. But yeah, they can.
Okay. Okay. And I think people just need to realize that there's other individuals out there that are there to help regardless of what's going on,
Right.
probably. Right.
Hmm.
So with your business, with Wild and Free, where do you see it in the next 12 to 36 months?
Well, I want to see how the groups go this summer. So, part of the business right now, since it's still pretty new, is some trial and error. So the younger group is new. So I want to see how that goes. If there's anything I need to change with that, I already know how the 3 to 6 year old one goes, or at least went last year. So I have a good idea of that. I already changed. I was trying to do a fall group that was a 6 week long one, and that just didn't work during the school year for me or for parents because they were so busy. So I did like a once a month one. So, see how that goes again, see if it's popular or not, or if I need to cut some of those groups back. And then if there's anything I can expand on, if I want to, increase the age range, or if there's a specific group that wants something, like I had somebody reach out. I had mentioned I did the one for neurodiverse boys. I have somebody else that wants to talk about doing a group for kids with hearing impairments. So I think it's just as I make more connections, it's just going to naturally expand and grow. So it's kind of hard to say right now.
Yeah, but you definitely see an opportunity for more different types of groups and
Yeah,
more number of groups as well. So do
yeah.
you also see a need if those things work out the way that you're hoping? Do you see a need for additional staff as well?
Probably, yeah. Once I start expanding more, then definitely I would need more staff. Because if I wanted to, another thing I could do is like add a longer duration of groups or, extra days or something if there's like a lot of people that want to sign up, and then I would need more staff if that happens.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you potentially see standing in the way of where you want to go with the business over the next 12 to 36 months, if anything?
Um, yeah, just being able to make sure I'm getting my name out there, people understanding, exactly what I'm doing. That's probably, something I've been doing a lot more vendor events this year. So I think that'll help. So I think that's probably the biggest one, just making sure I'm getting out there and people know about me.
name recognition. Well, hopefully we'll be able to help a little bit here.
Yeah.
So, I guess going back to whether it's with Wild and Free or whether it's just in your other business life, what's the best advice someone's given you that's helped you grow in your career?
I think like one of the biggest ones, especially when starting a business, was if you don't try, like that is the only failure really. So trying and failing is still, a success because you tried. So I think that
Right.
was one of the biggest things, like, because if you don't try, you're never going to know, where it could have gone. And also, if you try and fail, you might actually learn from that. Like the first business that I thought of really went nowhere, but I learned so much from it that the second time around, I was able to get it going and it was successful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of the biggest business owners in the world failed multiple times before they found something that actually worked. So
Hmm.
failure doesn't have to destroy your career. Sometimes it
Right.
helps you get you going in the right direction. So
Right.
that being said, what advice would you give other potential entrepreneurs, people that are thinking about starting a business, or entrepreneurs that maybe are a year in the business like yourself and might be struggling a little bit?
Yeah, I would say just start really small. So, like I just started, like, I was initially just going to start with one small group of 6 kids. That was it. And then it ended up getting full and I added more groups on, but just start small, and then also like just don't be afraid to take some risks because, they might work out, they might not, but at least you tried, like I had said earlier. But some things, feel really risky, or, also don't be afraid to reach out to people. Like you think this, you read this book and it was really good and you think you can learn a lot from this person. Well, maybe reach out to that actual person and see if they'll talk to you. So just trying to like network and grow those connections is really important. So if somebody, reaches out to you and wants you to be a part of some kind of event or something, just to say yes and go do that. If you see an opportunity, just to try to jump on it. So I'll just keep trying, and anything you can do to promote yourself and your business and to grow, do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all good tidbits of advice. Listen, I really appreciate you being on this the interview series today. I'm glad I got a chance to learn more about your business. Certainly something that's needed. Every parent that I know, we all complain about some of the same things, getting our kids out there and interacting with other kids. So thank you very much for being a part of the series. And if someone wants to reach out to you about Wild and Free and the programs, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I have a website. It's called wildandfreeot.com. So you can reach me on there. That links it to, my email or my phone number. You can call or text on that. And then I'm also on Facebook under Wild and Free OT. So you can follow me on there. And I'm on Instagram, Wild and Free OT _Ohio, because that other name was already taken. So I'm on there too. And on LinkedIn, I'm just under Shannon Kerns.
Right. All right. Everybody out there, please reach out to Shannon. And thank you, everybody, for being a part of this Mastering the Numbers interview series. Shannon, once again, thank you for taking part in it as well. It was great meeting you.
Yeah, thank you.
And I look forward to seeing everybody on the next episode. Take care.
You've just experienced another insightful episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you enjoyed the journey and gained valuable insights to fuel your financial success. Don't forget to subscribe to Mastering the Numbers on your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. And be sure to leave us a review to let us know how we're doing. Until next time, keep pushing forward and let your entrepreneurial spirit soar. Thank you for listening. You've just experienced another insightful episode of Mastering the Numbers. We hope you enjoyed the journey and gained valuable insights to fuel your financial success. Don't forget to subscribe to Mastering the Numbers on your favorite podcast platform to never miss an episode. And be sure to leave us a review to let us know how we're doing. Until next time, keep pushing forward and let your entrepreneurial spirit soar. Thank you for listening.